Good afternoon. It's Tuesday, March 1st. Welcome to SkedLive. I'm your host, Johanna. Here's what's making news now. Streetcar and subway services are fully restored after an overnight fire in a hydro vault downtown. Parts of the Yonge Subway Line 1 and downtown streetcars were down this morning between 1 a.m. and 10:30 a.m. 130 shuttle buses were placed along the subway paths. Customers were also permitted to use GO Transit and the Union Pearson Express train for the cost of a TTC fare until the issue was resolved. Something else might be affecting your commuting this afternoon, but it's not a fire. It's a snowstorm. Let's head over to Luke Alexander for your weather update.
We're here at Humber College Lakeshore campus where we're seeing some light flurries come down and will develop into a much larger storm later tonight. Now it's minus 8 degrees for now, but it'll warm up just a little bit to minus 4 degrees later tonight. We're going to talk with some students to see what they think about the storm.
Weather is really cold. I do not like winter. I'm ready for summer to come back. I'm not a snow person at all, but you know, you have to deal with it and come to school.
Travel plans, it's going to affect very seriously because sometimes the TTC services got cancelled. Sometimes they use shuttle buses or something else instead of the subway. That's going to affect me adversely because there are people coming in from far, like from Scarborough and all for an exam that we have today. So we have midterms right now.
Now to the studio with Sabrina and the 5-day forecast.
Looks like the storm is already rolling in. The city is under a storm watch with most of the snow coming in this evening. We can expect anywhere between 15 to 25 centimeters. Wind gusts will be up to 70 kilometers an hour, so be prepared for heavy delays on the commute home. Now let's take a look at the rest of the week. Tomorrow, things are going to stay cold. We have our high of -4 and a low of -14. On Thursday, the sun will peek out a bit with our high of -7 and a low of -14 again. On Friday, the sun will stay and it'll warm up a bit to -3. Heading into the weekend, things are going to warm up. We're going to get out of those negative digits with a highs of 1 on Saturday and a high of 3 on Sunday. That's your weather forecast for this week. Back to you, Johanna.
Thanks, Sabrina. Mayor John Tory and the Canadian Union of Public Employees say they are ready to start negotiations again today after a heated weekend. A Work to Rule campaign continues today that limits workers to only perform their contracted duties. Tim McGuire, the Local 79 president, says the union has re-engaged with their mediator to propose a new agreement. The new wage bargain hit a deadlock between Tory and CUPE Local 79 workers yesterday, threatening a strike or a lockout that would shut down city daycares and offices. Federal Heritage Minister Melanie Joly says the budget to be announced on March 22nd will restore some funding to the CBC. However, Joly says the cuts made by the Harper government will not be fully undone in the first year. The Liberal Party said in their platform that they would give $150 million to CBC and CBC Radio. This funding would not only reverse cuts, but give even more funding to the national broadcaster over the 2-year plan. First-year students at Humber get to experience recess all over again. SkedLive reporters Alana Pranjic and Ro Reed have the story.
The first-year experience, Humber Libraries, and the International Center present Recess in the Library. 4 days of free stress relief and fun. We spoke to some of the coordinators to see what the event is all about.
Recess is a stress-busting event for students. It's an opportunity for them to try a variety of events over different days.
So today we're having our second day of the Recess event, where it's like a Zen yoga type of day, a lot of relaxation. There's going to be David's tea, there's going to be oxygen bar, masseuse as well, and then we have yoga as well and meditation in the FY.
I think it's really nice. I think it's so important that they're promoting self-love and just really looking after yourself. It's much needed. I know I have a lot of assignments due this week, and I think it's nice to have time to de-stress.
I just hope that they have a lot of fun, and I really want them to have a relaxing experience and an opportunity to kind of step away from their studies and really experience the Humber community.
The ultimate goal is for everybody to have a relaxing time for the next few hours, because we know midterms are coming up. It's a really stressful time for students, so we just want everybody to have fun and be relaxed.
So if you're looking to have some fun around campus, check out one of the Recess events going on until March 3rd. For more of the details, check out humber.ca. I'm Alana Pranjic for skedline.com.
Thanks, Alana. Adonis Supermarket is hiring Syrian refugees in its 2 GTA locations. The Middle Eastern grocery store has hired several dozen refugees at Warden and Eglinton Avenue in Scarborough and its store in Mississauga. The store manager says the job helps refugees feel welcomed in the Canadian Arabic community. The supermarket carries meats, spices, and teas that the refugees are familiar with, which helps them comfortably transition into the country. City News anchor Gord Martineau is retiring after 39 years in the newsroom. Martineau has reported on hundreds of stories, including the Rob Ford scandal, international politics, and sports. He has won 2 awards for his work, the Gemini Award for Canada's Best News Anchor in 2012, and the Canadian Screen Award for Best Local Newscast in 2014. In a tweet last night, Martineau said, "Goodbye Toronto and City TV. Thank you for letting me into your living rooms and your lives. I will continue to work in broadcasting. Stay tuned." SkedLine has been following the controversy between Apple and the U.S. government. What's developed in that story, Anas?
Thanks, Johanna. Apple's multi-front battle to keep the U.S. government from forcing the tech giant to build back doors into its products has been dealt a setback. U.S. federal judge James Orenstein ruled Monday that the U.S. Justice Department cannot use the All Writs Act from 1789 to compel Apple to provide the FBI with access to locked iPhone data. This ruling applies to only one Brooklyn drug case. However, both this case and the ongoing legal battle regarding the San Bernardino shooter's phone center around whether the 1789 Act can be applied to smartphone encryption. Both Apple and the FBI are testifying today in front of the House Judiciary Committee in a hearing titled "The Encryption Tightrope: Balancing American Security and Privacy." According to Google's monthly report on its self-driving cars, one of its vehicles collided with a public transport bus last month. This news came just 4 days after the U.S. National Highway Traffic Safety Administration said to Google that it would likely give their autonomous vehicles the same legal treatment as a human driver. The self-driving vehicle merged into traffic at about 3 kilometers an hour and collided with a transport bus going 24 kilometers an hour. It is yet unclear which vehicle was at fault. In a statement, Google said, "We clearly bear some responsibility because if our car hadn't moved, there wouldn't have been a collision." Chinese state media is reporting that a Chinese court has sentenced 24 people to jail for a scam involving $1.5 billion. The scheme took advantage of the elderly, scamming thousands of senior citizens. The ringleader, Jiang Hongwei, reportedly spent millions on luxury items. Hongwei has been sentenced to life in prison, with others receiving up to 14 years of jail time. Canada's GDP has exceeded expectations, growing at a rate of 0.8% in the last 3 months of 2015. The economy grew at a rate of 1.2% over 2015 compared to 2.5% the year before. This announcement just comes a few weeks ahead of the federal budget, which is set to be announced on March 22nd. This budget is expected to contain billions of dollars of spending commitments designed to boost economic growth and stimulate the economy. Ketchup is going viral. An Orillia man's Facebook post lamenting the loss of a Heinz factory in Leamington, Ontario, and praising French's for purchasing the factory and using only locally grown Leamington tomatoes has been shared over 100,000 times. The factory, previously operated by Heinz, was set to close and cause a loss of 740 jobs for the small municipality of Leamington. The factory was purchased by Highbury Canco Corporation, which signed a contract with French's to manufacture ketchup from the Leamington facility. Just in time for patio and barbecue season, not just ketchup, Ontario residents will be able to order alcohol online. The LCBO is slated to launch its e-commerce site in mid-2016, according to the recently released Ontario budget. The LCBO currently offers cases of wine and other specialty items for sale through its high-end Vintages website. The new e-commerce site will cater to a wider variety of clientele and offer a larger selection of beverages. The Canadian Radio, Television and Telecommunications Commission has mandated that all television providers must offer a skinny basic option. This mandate was completed a year ago and goes into effect today. Providers have had a year to prepare packages since the announcement by Canada's broadcast regulator. The skinny basic package, as regulated, must include at least 10 local or regional channels, as well as educational and or legislative channels wherever available. The consumer will be able to add individual channels or bundles to the basic package, and this is going to be offered through all major providers in Canada, including Bell and Rogers. 2 astrophysicists from Germany have published a paper proposing we change the way we search for extraterrestrial life. Currently, by viewing planets' transits across their respective stars, scientists are able to determine the size of the planet and make observations about it. This helps us to determine whether it's capable of supporting life. The new approach is to turn this all on its head and instead calculate possible angles from which a faraway civilization might be observing our planet's transit. The universe is a massive place, and narrowing down where to look may be the first step towards finding our brethren from across the stars. That's it for Business and Tech. I'm Anas Sadiq. Let's head over to Caitlin with entertainment.
Thanks, Anas. Due to SkedLine not running yesterday, in entertainment today, we'll be giving you an Oscars recap. Now, Chris Rock kicked off the Oscars with an opening speech touching on Oscars so white, industry prejudice, and boycotters such as Jada Pinkett Smith. Throughout the show, Rock was full of surprises, from blatantly calling Hollywood racist to having a Black History Month slideshow in honor of Jack Black, to using Asian children in suits as the butt of a joke and selling his daughter's Girl Guide cookies. Chris Rock, however, wasn't the only celebrity to cause a commotion. During the night, the performance also caused quite a stir. Vice President Joe Biden made an appearance at the show where he got a standing ovation while introducing Lady Gaga. Biden addressed sexual assault on college campuses and asked everyone to take a pledge against sexual assault. Gaga then delivered a powerful performance of her Oscar-nominated song, Till It Happens to You, from the movie The Hunting Ground, which she dedicated her performance to the many victims of sexual assault and even had some gathered on stage with her. It was a tear-worthy performance. Canadian singer The Weeknd also performed with his Oscar-nominated song, Earned It, from 50 Shades of Grey. During his performance, global search interest for The Weeknd increased almost 500% according to Google Canada. Another celebrity to perform at the Oscars wasn't greeted with as much praise as the others. Sam Smith was called a hot mess after the Oscars on Sunday, beginning with his performance of his now award-winning song Writings on the Wall from Spectre. He called the performance horrible, stated that he hated every minute of it. Next was his acceptance speech, which he dedicated to the LGBT community, in which he claimed to have been the first openly gay man to win an Academy Award. However, with Smith obviously not being the first gay man to win an Oscar, he was met with a lot of backlash and criticism. Former Oscar winner Dustin Lance Black also stated that if Smith didn't even know who he was, then Smith should also stop texting his fiancée, Tom Daley. Smith was later told that Howard Ashman, a lyricist and an openly gay man, had also won an Oscar. Smith last stated after that he should get to know him and that the two should date. However, Ashman died in 1991. Speaking of award winners, in a surprise, Spotlight took home the award for Best Picture. The movie, directed by Tom McCarthy and filmed in Toronto, is based on the true story of how the Boston Globe uncovered the massive scandal of children molestation and cover-up within the Catholic Church. Other prominent winners included Best Actress Brie Larson for her work in Lenny Abrahamson's Room, which was also filmed in Toronto. And yes, finally, Leonardo DiCaprio took home the award for Best Actor for Tom Hardy's The Revenant. It was one of the biggest moments of the night when Leonardo DiCaprio finally got his long-awaited Academy Award. After starring in his first movie, What's Eating Gilbert Grape, and receiving his first Oscar nomination more than 20 years ago, followed by countless more, DiCaprio finally took home his Oscar. And in other entertainment news, Kylie Jenner and Kylie Minogue are feuding over the name Kylie. Jenner applied to trademark her name through the U.S. Patent Office last August. Now, in reports from the World Intellectual Property Review, Minogue has filed a notice of opposition. Minogue's legal team is stating that if the reality star trademarks the name, it could confuse the singer's fans and hurt her career. Minogue has already trademarked the name in accordance to shows, brands, and entertainment purposes. Both parties have so far kept quiet on this case. And before we end our entertainment segment, let's give a quick shout out to Justin Bieber, who turned 22 today. After the huge turnaround he's made this past year, it might be too late to say sorry, but it's not too late to say happy birthday, Justin. And that's all for entertainment. I'm Caitlin Nukanen. Now back to Johanna for more news updates.
Thanks, Caitlin. Radio Canada correspondent Raymond St. Pierre was injured in Syria this morning. A group of 30 to 40 journalists that Saint Pierre was traveling with were attacked near the Turkish border. He says he escaped shells exploding nearby and hit the ground. When he fell, he suffered from cracked ribs and slight injuries to the hand, knee, and elbow. The group responsible for the attack is still unknown. Canada might put a price on carbon emissions. The First Ministers' meeting will take place this Thursday in Vancouver. Trudeau's government is expected to start tackling their platform on climate change and propose ideas around charging for carbon emissions. Saskatchewan Premier Brad Wall, who is against the charging for carbon emissions, says that he won't sign an agreement at the meeting. Uber is suspending operations today in Edmonton. Alberta government announced that it will not give insurance to Uber drivers until July 1st. Last month, Alberta was the first province to legalize Uber. However, a bylaw comes into effect today that requires drivers to carry insurance specifically for ride-hailing services. In international news, today is Super Tuesday, a very important day for presidential candidates south of our border. 12 states will get to vote on their candidates, determining who will battle to be the next president on November 8th. Donald Trump is currently sitting at the top of the Republican polls at 49%, more than all of his opponents combined. But Democratic leader Hillary Clinton tops Trump 52% to 44% in a recent poll. SkedLine reporter Amrita Chopra has more on this story. For the full report, head to skedline.com. The European Union is allocating $765 million for refugees in Greece. Greece, who declared bankruptcy last year, has requested emergency aid to deal with the ongoing refugee crisis. Violence continues to intensify in Greece as refugees are trying to cross over the border. Police fired tear gas at up to 10,000 refugees yesterday who are stranded at the border to Macedonia. The Rio Olympics will be charging athletes for mosquito nets due to the Zika virus outbreak. The organizing committee for the Olympics, set to take place in August, will charge to have mosquito screens installed in athletes' rooms. The low-end screens are attached to windows for $15, while higher quality screens can cost over $100. The announcement comes after a growing number of international athletes are concerned about the virus that has 4,000 reported outbreaks in Brazil. Speaking of the Olympics, we've got some important news about our athletes right here in Toronto. Let's head over to Sarah for the latest in sports.
Thanks, Johanna. 37 NHL players were swapped prior to the National Hockey League's trade deadline yesterday at 3 p.m. While the Leafs acquired no new players, Montreal traded right-wing Devontae Smith-Pelly for New Jersey left-wing Stéphane Matteau. Ottawa also traded left-wing player Shane Prince and its 2016 NHL Draft 7th-round pick to the New York Islanders for a 3rd-round pick in 2016. For more information about winners and losers of trade deadline week, see Jonathan Tonen's article on skedline.com. 7 new members of the Toronto Maple Leafs played their first game against the Tampa Bay Lightning last night at the ACC. Among 4 players who made their first NHL debut were Nikita Shozhnikov and 19-year-old youngsters Kasperi Kapanen and William Nylander. Though the players brought lots of energy to the play, Tampa Bay came out victorious with a score of 2-1. Now for your sports roundups. The Philadelphia Flyers captured their 3rd straight win against the Calgary Flames 5-3. Braden Shen scores his first NHL career hat trick. And the Montreal Canadiens lost against the Sharks by a wide margin 6-2. Joe Thornton, Joe Pavelski, and Brett Burns each had 3 points in their victory against Montreal. For your NBA roundup, the Cleveland Cavaliers went up against the Indiana Pacers last night and came up victorious with a score of 100-96. LeBron James scored 33 points with 5 rebounds, while Kyrie Irving scored 22 points with 3 rebounds. The Oklahoma City Thunder won against the Sacramento Kings 131-116, and the LA Clippers defeated the Brooklyn Nets 105-95. Yesterday, the Raptors waived 22-year-old Anthony Bennett to sign former Golden State Warrior Jason Thompson. Monday's move marked yet another setback in Bennett's career. In 2013, Bennett was the first Canadian player for #1 pick during the NBA draft. He lasted just over a year with the Cavaliers before being traded as a package to the Timberwolves in 2014. Over a year later, he was released. The Toronto Blue Jays officially kicked off spring training against the Phillies in Clearwater, Florida today at 1 p.m. Notable to today's game includes Dalton Pompey, Chris Colabello, and Justin Smoke, while Blue Jays pitcher Marcus Stroman takes the mound against Severina Gonzalez. The game is being live streamed for free on the MLB Network. Follow SkedLine on Twitter for live updates. Chewing tobacco may soon be banned at all Toronto sporting venues. Councillor Joe Mihevik says he plans to bring forth a motion to restrict the use of tobacco product on all sports premises at the upcoming Board of Health meeting on March 21st. The motion is designed to dispel the idea that tobacco products are cool. The councillor said that chewing tobacco is, quote, terribly unhealthy, referencing a 2015 survey that found nearly 6% of students between grades 7 to 12 use smokeless tobacco products. Blue Jays manager John Gibbons welcomes the ban, calling tobacco a nasty habit. That's all for your sports news. I'm Sarah Duwong. Now back to Johanna.
Thanks, Sarah. That's all your news updates for today. I'm your host, Johanna Tucker. From all of us at SkedLive, thanks for watching.